Hello, this is Photography Gamer. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm reviewing Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint for the PS4. The game is also available for the Xbox One and Microsoft Windows. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint is an online tactical shooter developed by Ubisoft Paris. The game takes place on the island of Aroa, a beautiful archipelago used by Scale Technology as their base of operations. When an American cargo ship sinks off the coast and all comms with the island cease, a Ghost Recon platoon are dispatched to re-establish contact and investigate. I previously reviewed the game at the end of November 2019 where I gave it 6 out of 10 as it felt unfinished and really not well optimized. Since that review, the developers have added various features such as an immersive mode and AI teammates, which were sadly absent upon the initial release. So today I'm re-reviewing the game from scratch as of the current version on the 1st of November 2020. So what is the game like to play? Well, Ghost Recon Breakpoint is a tactical shooter at heart and it's all about situational awareness, finding cover and working as a team. The combat is slick and deadly as 1 or 2 shots will down your enemies, but the same also applies for you. So it's not a run and gun type game. Well, maybe on the easy mode, but if you're into more realistic settings, you'll have to take it slow, do your recon, then execute the plan accordingly. You can take on the campaign solo if you wish, or you can do it online with 3 other players, or the fan favourite solo with 3 AI teammates. As with previous games in the series, you are spoilt for choice when it comes to firearms. You can equip 2 main weapons and a sidearm, as well as several other items like drones, grenades or flashbangs. In the gunsmith, you can customize each weapon part, including the ability to paint it with your favourite camo. Your character can now suffer injuries from combat or falling, with injections, medkits or canteens able to refuel your energy. Another nice feature is the bivouac, a tactical pit stop where you can prepare items, adjust your tactics or just have a snack to add statistical boosts for a duration of time. If you're under fire and need to hide, you can go prone and add camo from the environment, whether it be mud, sand or snow. The levelling up system is managed by class and each one unlocks various perks that you can equip independently depending on the scenario. One major addition to the game since I reviewed it a year ago is the AI teammates. Now, don't expect them to be elite soldiers, they're not. Most of the time they're just there for moral support, a bit of synchronized sniping and healing you when you get taken down. Do not expect them to be very tactically aware or to have your back at all times because they won't, and quite often they don't see the enemies even when they're right in front of them. They also freak out from time to time, get stuck in the environment, but for the most part they were fine as like basic combat buddies. Now the game world, Aroa, it's a beautiful location with stunning landscapes and vistas, but the island feels very plain and lifeless when compared to the other game worlds. The architecture is ugly and bland no matter where you go. It's got absolutely no character, and when you compare it to the Bolivia map in Ghost Recon Wildlands, it pales in comparison.
Bolivia, any day of the week.
Thankfully, Aroa has a few vehicles dotted around, from cars and bikes which handle appallingly to the choppers and boats which are a lot smoother and slick. Saying that, the island is so sparse you'll often have to explore to find these vehicles, or find people or enemies or anything. It really does feel like a ghost town at times. One thing about Breakpoint that hasn't changed is the story. It's full of bland missions devoid of any depth of character, and as for the people you're supposed to save, they are some of the most unlikable characters you could imagine.
You're a horrible person.
I didn't make this world, but I'd rather live in it than be dead.
Even the rebels are annoying and soulless, and it kind of ruins the campaign as you don't really feel like these people are worth saving.
You're the, outcasts.
It's not like we chose that name. Makes us sound like a biker gang.
Yeah, something like that. I guess all the good terrorist names were taken, huh?
Adding to that, the enemies are generic mercs, and even the specially trained wolves who wear masks and capes feel uninspiring. The most interesting enemies in the game are actually the robots and the drones, which kind of tells you a lot. Finally, the other new addition is the Immersive Mode, which allows you to fine-tune features to make for a more realistic experience. It does away with the role-playing game magic weapons or the special clothing that grants you better accuracy or other such ridiculous boosts. So for realism fans, you can turn all of that rubbish off now. Guns are just guns, armor's armor, no magic perks, that is apart from the skill tree, but you can't have everything, I guess. Finally, there's also a PvP option and a Ghost War mode, which are both worth checking out, and you have a season pass which unlocks various missions, but to be honest, I feel like they should have made these free once the game released and did pretty badly, because the main campaign is quite underwhelming and I feel like people who've bought this deserve something for free. Graphically, the game has some serious issues, from pop-up in the environment, which really surprised me as Wildlands was so good in that department. Also, the frame rate is constantly struggling, in particular in built-up areas.
Won't those holes be fixed by now?
No. I don't think so.
The island does look nice though, but the buildings, they're unimaginative and drab with generic modern architecture lacking any real style. The menus are poorly optimized and more suited to a mouse and keyboard, and most screens are just unnecessarily confusing and messy, and the mission structure screen as well, my god, they've made an absolute dog's dinner of that one in terms of design. The audio, however, is pretty strong throughout with excellent punchy weapons sound effects. The main character is well voice acted, along with a few other characters, but it is a bit of a mixed bag with some really lifeless performances mixed in. Some of the better characters are very underused, and the AI teammates don't have any real meaningful dialogue, which would really have helped with the immersion. Okay, what's good and what's bad? What's good? The AI teammates make the solo campaign actually playable now. Immersive Mode lets you customize the experience if you crave a bit of a minimalistic, realistic experience. The landscapes are beautiful, the gunplay is enjoyable, albeit not as slick as Wildlands. The bivouac, prone camo and injury features are good additions, and the tactical side of the game is as enjoyable as in previous games. What's bad? Aroa is a terrible game world that lacks any real character. The story is bland, along with the enemies, and the people you're supposed to save are some of the least enjoyable characters to interact with, and you just wish they would all go away.
We are not terrorists.
They never are.
The enemy AI and the AI of your teammates is quite frankly appalling, where you'll often see them stand meters from each other and be completely oblivious. And the game suffers from poor technical performance, and the interface could have been greatly improved. Okay, what is the verdict? Ghost Recon Breakpoint is not a bad game, but it's not a good game either. The big question is, do the AI teammates and immersive options make the game better? Yes, 100% it's a better game now than it was a year ago, but how much better are we talking? In the end, you can't polish a turd, and the story, main quest or the lackluster feel of Aroa haven't changed, and these things hold back the overall enjoyment of the experience. But it was a choice Ubisoft made, as Wildlands got a little bit of controversy and flack for its depiction of Bolivia, so they decided to make Breakpoint the least offensive game ever. And sadly, the price of that means the story and the setting will never be good enough, because they're very vanilla, very generic, very kind of like devoid of any sort of substance. But the AI teammates have now been added. They do make it playable for solo players and for people who want to have an experience in the campaign that you can have a consistency with, because before you just couldn't. A year ago you played it solo, that was so dull. Play it with randoms online, you just don't know what you're going to get. Not everyone had 3 friends who had the game who wanted to play it, so it was a year ago, it was a real mess. Now at least you can play it. And I have to say, I did enjoy the campaign a great deal more this time than about a year ago. Is it worth buying though? I wouldn't pay full price for this. If you see this for $15, I'd say that's a fair price. £15, 15 euros, whatever your currency of choice. I would avoid full price because it's just not worth it. Like, if you're going to buy a full price game, get Ghost Recon Wildlands, get all the DLC, because that's a superior game in almost every department. Breakpoint isn't bad now, it's worth playing if you like that squad-based style of gameplay, tactical shooters, but it still has some fundamental issues. But like I said before, this time round I did actually enjoy it a little bit. So with all that being said, my score for Ghost Recon Breakpoint is 7.4 out of 10. Okay, that was the review. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. This is Photography Gamer signing off. Thank you.